Hello. Welcome to another rainy day in Lorraine. It's currently about 2 or 3 degrees, and this morning it was raining. But now this afternoon it looks like it's snowing. I can't tell. It's that really wicked, disgusting sort of snow. It's like, you know, nature coming to shit on your day. When you think it's raining and it's all good, and then it turns to snow because it's that fucking cold. But the snow melts just before it hits the ground, or just before it gets on your skin. It melts, and so then you're cold and wet. But not just any cold, not like, oh, I've been walking around in the rain too long cold. No, it's a kind of cold that creeps into your bones. Which is why I've stayed indoors today. Normally I would like to, I've tried to getting into a rhythm since coming back from Turkey. For me, a rhythm is very important because it's the only way I stick to anything. And when I got back from Turkey, the weather was good, so I would go out, buy a sandwich for lunch, and then exercise in the pépinière, walk around in the sun a bit, then come back, and then the shit weather's kicked back in. It was like Lorraine was, luring me outside, but it was a trap. Now the weather's shit, so I've tried to stick to my routine a bit and exercise indoors. That means just on the floor, some push-ups, some crunches, because I go a bit stir-mad in here, and I like to be moving. My job in Australia involved me working with my hands. I was always lifting and carrying things, and I loved it. I loved that. I like physical work. And so I'm fortunate because this time, every Tuesday, there's a Spanish class that takes place over there, and the teacher's this fiery little South American woman. And she must have a real shite class, because they always manage to piss her off. And so all I hear for an hour is her shouting, just having this screaming match, one-sided screaming match with, one or more students in her class. And she just goes off at them. And I feel like telling her what she's doing wrong. I know exactly what she's doing wrong. It's the same thing that one of the German teachers here does wrong. I participate in some German classes because I like to practice my German and see how I'm doing with that. And in this class, it's a very soft-spoken woman teaching the German class, and the kids are, sometimes dickheads. And she sort of quietly, politely reprimands them, but I want to tell her, no. Please, shout at them in German. If there's anything that frightens a Frenchman, it's a foreign language. Because he's got no comeback. See, the French argue for sport. If he has an argument, if he can mouth off back at you, then you've really just made a Frenchman's day if you indulge him in an argument. But if you put him in his place in a language he doesn't understand, he's got nothing to come back with. He's French, he's not going to attack you, alright? If they pull this face, that's the face of defeat. That's French defeat. When he can't speak back, game over. Where was I going? Yeah, so I keep thinking this German woman, the teacher, she should really turn to the students and be like, beiß mich, call them little shits, something like that. Du wirst eine Krankenschwester brauchen. No one can argue with that. You can't. I mean, it's nonsensical. She could say anything to them. She could place a lunch order, but so long as she does it aggressively, the kids are fucked. They've got no comeback. And so this is what she should be doing. She rattles off in South American Spanish. That shit's scary. Okay? It's a nice flowery language, but when it's said with anger, it's aggressive. Alright? They've all seen movies. We all know what the Los Angeles gangster sounds like. It's cool. It's a real cool sound, and so she should be doing this to her students, and that would really tidy them up. I do it. If students are giving me shit, I look him dead in the eye and be like, so you want me to kick your teeth in? I don't yell. I just propose. Would you like me to curb stomp you? And they give me the look, not because they're scared or because I was aggressive, but just because I spoke to them in English. In fact, I read an article today about how, actually no, never mind, it was about how the French are the worst English speakers, 69th, sorry, in the rank of like all the world who can speak English, they're 69. That's pretty low considering they're like England's immediate neighbour. But I really can't judge. Cannot judge because Anglophones I find are terrible linguists. And we make that argument, it's because we speak English already. We already have an international language. It's because we already speak this international language we believe ourselves to be above polylinguism. And so we make no effort. And I see that a lot in Australia. Which is why I don't compare France to Australia anymore. That was a mistake I first made. When I first came to France, I was constantly trying to find a way to try to transform France into Australia, which is impossible. It's impossible. France was colonized by the Germans and then the Americans during the Second World War, and they couldn't change anything. YouTube's doing a good job now. The kids here think, oh, swag, c'est trop cool. Wow. If that is all that the young French people are sort of getting from the internet, picking up swag and bad American habits, then maybe France deserves to sink into the ocean. It's not where I'm going. It's not where I'm going. So it's not fair for me to compare Australia and France ever, because the France are far better linguists than Australians. If an Australian is not sort of born into a bilingual family already, or has had the good fortune like me to be sent to France as a punishment at a young age, then there's very, very few of us who will learn a foreign language, who will sit down in school and learn it. Here in Europe, they can travel around, they have Erasmus. We don't have that in Australia. Our nearest foreign-speaking neighbours are like New Caledonia, they speak French, or Indonesia. But we should learn Indonesian, but we don't. I think Chinese should be taught as an obligatory second language in Australia, but it's not. Anywho, and it's not just that, it's not just the people, but the climate and the government and the way things are. See, Australia inherited an American mentality and a British law system. And it's come together okay into like a very lazy and overprivileged people. Those are Australians, in my opinion. And then you take the countryside, and you've got this beautiful climate. And I can just, to show you, I will compare the two jobs I did. So here I am teaching, entre guillemets, earning peanuts to do it. I live in this little cell, and when I look out my window, there is just grey everywhere. Grey buildings, the trees are dead, grey sky, and there's a fog obscuring what should be a nice view of the hills and stuff. No fog, it's awful. And even this same time of year, not because yes I know the poles are inverted and it's winter in Australia when it's summer in France, but even when it's like winter in Australia, I could still go to my job in Brighton-le-Sands, Sydney, where I was nice and near the water. Even though it'd be cold, you could still walk outside quite happily in a jumper, sweater. And I had a nice physical job, and I was paid stupid amounts of money to do nothing. Like, I worked in a liquor store, I sold alcohol. And I was earning 5 times as much as I do here, and I work in a school. And I could sit outside in the sun in between, pretending to do chores. And so it was easier, even, in the morning in winter, it would be cold, yeah, but I could still go out jogging without feeling like I was going to have a heart attack because my lungs were frozen. So it was easier, it's just a healthier environment. So I need a plan, I need to make a plan. What am I going to do here to try maintain my physical well-being and my mental well-being Really, I should have thought about this 6 months ago when I got here, but you know, I've only got maybe a month and a half left here, and I've only just started thinking, what the hell am I going to do to save my soul? And I just think it's too late for me. I've gotten fat, not even on good food. I'm not eating well here. It's very rarely that I have a good meal, but I've gotten fat just from inactivity and alcohol. God, the alcohol. It's just beer everywhere. See, I thought we drank a lot in Australia, and we do. I'd say we drink, it's not that we drink more than the French, we just drink unhealthily. We drink irresponsibly compared to the French. The French have these powerful knockout Belgian beers that they will drink, 3 or 4 of in a night and be written off, whereas in Australia our beers are piss weak and too expensive, and you have to drink 5 times as much to get the same level. But my God, the Belgian beers are sugary and they just sit there on my stomach and I can't do anything about it. And food is expensive. If you saw my kitchen here, I've got 2 hot plates, so I can't really cook anything decent. I've got, pots and pans are in a shit state, can't do much there. So what can I do? I don't know. I will have to think about it. And I'm going to leave it there. Have a good day. Enjoy the weather.